Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It is our TOEIC unit today, and we've got a special treat for you today. We're going to be talking about horror movies.
Cool.
We're going to be talking to a vampire today, or at least an actor. This is fictitious. This is just made up. The horror movie star is Christopher Lee, spelled L-E-I-G-H, although the writer of this article told me that he actually based this fictional character on a real person, the actor Christopher Lee, L-E-E, who was a British actor who was in Dracula movies back in the 1950s, and he was also in Lord of the Rings movies and stuff like that. He died a couple of years ago, so I guess we could say this interview is kind of in honor of him.
Yeah, if our readers look up Christopher Lee, but spelled L-E-E, I bet most everyone will recognize his face. Yeah.
Indeed. Yes, it's a very iconic face.
Sure.
But let's get to it. Here we've got Rachel talking to Christopher. So let's see what they have to say. Let's listen to the interview with a vampire.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Tonight, I'm honored to have the renowned horror movie star, Christopher Lee, as my guest.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Before we talk about your new film, Dracula's Revenge, I'd like to discuss horror movies in general.
What do you mean?
Well, it seems that the popularity of horror films has risen in recent times. You've made a successful career out of horror movies, so I'm interested in your perspective.
When you've been an actor for a while, you come to realize that things often come full circle. Particular genres become popular and then fade away, only to return a decade or two later. For example, superhero movies were first popular in the 1940s. Then they came back in the 1980s, and right now they're really big again. Moreover, there's the studio factor.
Could you elaborate on that?
Well, studios like to build series around popular movies. If a film does well, the executives feel there's less financial risk in making a sequel than there is in trying something new.
That can get out of hand.
Of course. If studios make too many sequels and don't infuse them with the same amount of creativity as they put into the original film, audiences soon get tired of them.
So right now, are we in the more creative stage?
I'd say so, yes. A lot of the surprise box office hits are coming from smaller studios and lesser-known directors. Take Get Out, for example. Okay, everybody, let's talk about the contents of today's interview. An interview, of course, is when somebody asks somebody questions on a radio show or on a TV show. Usually it's an interview done with a famous person or a politician or somebody like that. An interview with the mayor, for example. In this particular case, it's an interview with a vampire. A vampire, of course, is a kind of creature, a monster, I guess you could say. It's usually a man. It could be a woman as well, but they suck people's blood and they can only come out at night, and if they see the sun they dissolve into dust, and you have to kill them by driving a stake through their heart.
Right. I wanted to mention, Tom just said it's kind of like interview with the mayor. Notice we're saying a vampire. Guys, people in Taiwan get and the really mixed up. I see too many thes. Remember, the is specific, is general. So when we talk about that movie, Interview with the Vampire, which was based on a very big novel. It's a specific vampire that we're talking about. Here, it's just a general vampire. We're soon going to find out that we're talking to an actor, though, who has portrayed a vampire. I'm not into vampires, but our guest has a lot of experience here because he's been acting for a long time and is in a new film called Dracula's Revenge. And as we all know, Dracula is a very, very famous vampire who is typically cast using a very handsome actor.
Exactly. I want to suck your blood.
Yeah. Oh.
Dracula's Revenge, of course, is the movie that Christopher Lee here stars in. And, of course, the interviewer says, welcome to the show, everyone. Tonight, I'm honored to have the renowned horror movie star Christopher Lee as my guest. Renowned just means famous, well-known.
Yeah, or someone or something that people are talking about. Most movie stars who have been around for a while are pretty renowned. Even if they're really bad actors, you still will talk about them if they've had a long career. So Rachel is interviewing this particular actor named Christopher Lee, and she has her own show. There are a lot of interview shows on TV that are quite popular. We have them here in Taiwan, too. She says, before we talk about your new film, which is in italics, which is a special type of print that looks like it's kind of leaning to the side. The title of the film is Dracula's Revenge. But before they start talking about that, she just wants to discuss horror movies or horror films in general, meaning not a specific film, just kind of what horror films are about, what's going on in the market, what's happening today with the popularity of horror films.
And Christopher does not quite understand her question. What do you mean?
Yeah.
That is a very vague question, maybe. Exactly what do you want to know? What specific information do you want to know? And Rachel says, well, it seems that the popularity of horror films has risen in recent times. So maybe that's what she's asking here. Horror films have become more popular recently, so she wants to know why. What is the appeal of horror films? Can you tell us some more about horror films in general? Here we have the word popularity, and that just refers to the degree to which something is popular. I could say the popularity of traditional cell phones declined when the iPhone 1 was released.
Right. Popularity doesn't mean it's popular. You're talking about a range, how popular something is, like Tom said. It's the degree that this something that you're talking about is popular. So the popularity of horror films seems to have risen, gone up, getting more popular. She says you've had a successful career out of horror movies. Some actors really focus on one type of genre. That genre is G-E-N-R-E. It's a French word, so we say it weird. We don't say genre, but it means a type of something, genre of music, genre of film. And he's kind of made a big career, had a really successful career just focusing on horror movies. She wants to hear Christopher's perspective on all of this. Someone's perspective is their point of view, how they see something, what they think about it. It's really based on their own opinion.
Exactly right. So, of course, she wants his perspective, his point of view. And Christopher says, when you've been an actor for a while, you come to realize that things often come full circle. So if you've been an actor for a long time, if you've been in the business for many years, then you start to know, you come to realize, you notice that things often come full circle. If something comes full circle, that means it goes all the way around again, and you're basically at the beginning. You're basically back where you started. So I guess he's talking specifically about horror films here. They are popular for a while, then they fade away, and then they come back, so things come full circle.
Yeah, or maybe an actor's talking about his own career, and he started out in horror films and then started doing other types of films. But at the end of his career, he again returned to doing horror films. You could say his career has come full circle. So particular genres, there's that word, become popular and then fade away. If something fades away, it gets less and less strong or less and less bright. Light can fade away. Someone's life can fade away. A color on a particular piece of clothing can fade away or fade as you wash it. So it becomes less and less strong, you could say. And now we've come full circle. They're pretty popular because a couple of decades ago, they weren't so popular.
Exactly right. So they come and go. They come in cycles, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I remember, it's been 17 years now, or 18 years. Scary Movie came out. Remember that? It was famous for that mask that the lead character wore. It was a white mask with black around the eyes and the mouth and stuff.
What was his name? I forgot. It was a hockey mask.
Oh, no, that was another one. That was like Jason, Halloween.
Yeah, I can't watch that one.
Friday the 13th movies. Those are back in the 80s. I guess, but A Scary Movie was in the 2000s, etc. So yes, indeed, he's saying that these genres become popular, then they fade away, then they return a decade or two later. For example, he gives an example here. Superhero movies were first popular in the 1940s. That's going quite some time back. I was not alive then myself, but I guess superhero movies were popular then with Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman.
The original Superman, was made back then.
Or at least the TV show was pretty popular there. But then they came back in the 1980s with Christopher Reeve playing Superman, and Batman came out. I'm Batman, and etc. There was a lot of sequels there. I guess they carried that on into the 90s. And right now they're really big again with all those Marvel movies, Iron Man, the Avengers, etc. Those are all superhero movies. Wonder Woman last year. Moreover, there's the studio factor. So here, moreover means in addition, also. There's also something involved with movie studios.
Yeah, here he's saying there's the studio factor. Factor here just means a fact or something that has influence, that's contributing to some sort of result or outcome. What is it about the studio that has had an impact on horror movies? Well, Rachel's not sure what he means by that, so she says, could you elaborate on that? Elaborate here is a verb, guys, so it's pronounced elaborate. But if it's an adjective, meaning, really decorated or highly complex, lots of details, you say elaborate. But here it is elaborate. Can you give me more details about what you're talking about? Well, he says studios like to build series around popular movies. When you have a series of things, you have one after another of the same kind of thing that's linked together. With movies, you have a story that has the same characters from movie to movie. We have a lot of series these days. One that's really popular, we could name right now, that's still going on is Star Wars. These are a series of movies where they have interconnected characters and stories that interlink.
Yep, this is Hollywood's idea of continuing to sell movies abroad because people are familiar with the characters, so they'll likely go again. Pixar does this too, like Toy Story had 3 movies,
Cars.
And I think the new Incredibles movie is going to be coming out again in the future.
Well, that's a good one. I like that one.
Maybe another Cars movie too, so yes, indeed. They build these series around popular movies, and if a film does well, the executives feel there's less financial risk in making a sequel than there is in trying something new. So an executive, of course, is a businessman in a company. They're the ones who make the decisions. And financial means having to do with money, getting the money, coming up with the money to finance the project or to pay for the project, and then trying to get some return in ticket sales.
Yeah, so it's easier to make a sequel than trying something new. You're not risking the same amount of money, and movies cost a lot of money these days. A sequel is just something that continues a story. So Star Wars has, 6 or 7 movies. Each one is called the next sequel. So Rachel says that can get out of hand. Yeah, I think there are too many superhero sequels these days with Marvel and DC Comics. If something gets out of hand, it gets out of control, guys. You need to get it back in control. Kind of chaotic if something's out of hand. Gets out of hand. Parties can get out of hand.
They certainly can. Yeah. They can become real wild and obnoxious. The police have to come and break them up and stuff like that. And Christopher agrees here. Of course, they can get out of hand.
Yeah.
If studios make too many sequels and don't infuse them with the same amount of creativity as they put into the original film, Audiences soon get tired of them. So he's saying, yes, it probably has gotten out of hand. The studios need to infuse these movies with new creativity. And here, if you infuse something, it basically means the same thing as including something. You put this thing into the movie, you've got to have some new creativity. Otherwise, it's the same thing over and over again. I felt that way about the Transformers movies. One of them was like 3 hours long or something.
It's too long.
It was too long, and it's like they weren't really doing anything new. It was like the same thing over and over again. I was really bored. I wanted to leave the theater. So that's what he's saying here. You need to include or infuse these movies with creativity. Creativity, of course, is when you make up new things that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, creative is the adjective. So someone who has a lot of creativity, that's the noun form, can be described as being very creative. So Rachel says, so right now, are we in the more creative stage? And he says he agrees with that. Yeah, I'd say so, yes. So a lot of the surprise box office hits are coming from smaller studios and lesser-known directors. That's true. The big budget movies are usually sequels coming out of those big, huge studios that have a lot of money. A box office is a place where you go to buy tickets to a movie. And we'll often talk about, oh, it did very well at the box office, which just means it sold a lot of tickets. A lot of people went to see it.
Right. Okay. So, yes, people are probably bored of the big studios. They probably don't really want to rock the boat. They don't want to try new things. It's like the old phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they just basically come out with the same thing. So these little studios, hey, they're new. They can take a chance. They have nothing to lose. So a lot of the creativity comes from those smaller studios and lesser-known directors. Take Get Out, for example. So I guess Get Out is an example of a film from a smaller studio directed by a not-so-famous director.
Yeah, I looked this movie up. It's a real movie. It did very well at Rotten Tomatoes, which lets all of us rank or rate the movies. It's got some good actors, but yeah, it is a smaller budget movie. So check that out. Right now, guys, while you were checking things out, we're going to go to the Chinese teacher who's going to help you a little bit more.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 我们今天首先来看到 Rachel 所说的第二句话说 Tonight, I'm honored to have the renowned horror movie star Christopher Lee as my guest. 在英文里面呢，我们说我们非常荣幸的怎么样？我们可以用这样的开头 I'm honored to 加上原形动词，像在这里呢，邀请到是非常著名的恐怖片明星，在这里英文叫做 The Renowned Horror Movie Star， 来当作呢是今晚的特别来宾。而 honor 这个名词呢，原本就有荣誉跟名誉的意思。我们常常听到这个片语 do the honors， 指的呢就是尽主人之谊，或者是执行某种礼仪的这样的行为。接着我们继续往下面看 Rachel 说 You've made a successful career out of horror movies, so I'm interested in your perspective. 在这里谈到呢，这个 Christopher Lee 呢，非常的成功的事业 out of 是来自于呢这个恐怖片，所以呢 Rachel 非常对于他的看法感到有兴趣。在英文里面我们提到某人的观点跟看法就可以用 perspective 这个名词。举个例子来说，我们说用历史的观点来看待问题，就可以说 to view an issue from a historical perspective。后面 Christopher 提到呢 particular genres become popular and then fade away, only to return a decade or two later. Christopher Lee 提到呢，有一些特定的题材跟类型 genre 这里就是指着题材跟类型，这样的电影呢可能一下子流行起来 and then fade away. Fade 本来就是有消逝的意思，如果我们说到人群刚刚才散去，就可以说 The crowd just faded away. 而后面我们打上逗号 only to 再加上原形动词，可以解释成为结果却怎么样，不料却是怎么样。所以呢，一下流行消逝，然后结果呢，过了10年或20年又再重新出现了。我们来用 only to 造个句子 I tore open the box only to discover that some of the parts were missing。我呢，把盒子撕开来，却发现里面有些零件不见了。在这里的 only to 加上原形动词，就有结果却是怎么样的意思。接着我们再继续看到文章后面 Christopher 说 Well, studios like to build series around popular movies. 其实呢，这些工作室或者是电影的制片厂 studios 他们喜欢呢以一些热门电影为基础来发展系列的影片。这里的 series 就是代表着连续或者是系列的意思。举例来说，一系列的新版学校教材就可以说 a new series of school textbooks。后面提到 If a film does well, the executives feel there's less financial risk in making a sequel than there is in trying something new. 所以如果这个影片呢表现得很好 does well 表现得不错，那么这些主管们在英文里面我们就用 executives 代表着是这些主管们。主管们会认为 there's less financial risk， 要请同学特别注意一下这里的 in 加上后面的 VING， 在制作续集的这个部分呢，有比较少的 financial risk 财务的风险，跟什么相比较呢？比呢 in trying something new 来尝试拍新片的财务风险会来得小得多，而在这里的 financial 就是代表着这个财务的，像我们常常听到 financial report 就是指的是财务的报表。接着继续往下面看 Christopher 所说的这句话 Of course, if studios make too many sequels and don't infuse them with the same amount of creativity as they put into the original film, audiences soon get tired of them. 虽然制作续集的财务的风险比较小，但是如果做了太多的 sequels 续集的话，而不融入一些呢特色或者是创意在里面的话，就不妙咯。我们首先来看看这个动词 infuse 就是有注入跟灌输的意思。我们特别要注意这个句子里面的是 the same amount of creativity as they put into the original film。The same 搭配的是 as， 就是呢这么多量的创意呢，如果你没有注入出这么多的创意的话，其实观众们是很容易就 get tired of them， 就会感到厌烦了。OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, to enhance your learning, to improve your listening comprehension ability, we've got some extra dialogues here, so let's continue with the interview now.
Okay, so tell me about Terry Fishner, the director of Dracula's Revenge.
He brings so much energy and passion to his work. So, again, this is a fictional director, probably based on a real one, but this one does not exist. Terry Fishner, and again, Dracula's Revenge is not a real movie, but here the interviewer wants to ask the interviewee what he feels about this director. Well, he says that the director brings a lot of energy and passion to his work. You could say that the director has a lot of energy when he directs, and he has a lot of passion, a lot of strong feelings about his work.
Well, you'd hope that most directors do. That's a big job to direct a film. So you need someone who's really excited about doing it. Okay, next one, Tom. I will start. You've played Count Dracula in the past. How did you feel about reprising the role?
I wasn't sure at first, but Terry and his team have breathed new life into an old corpse, if you'll pardon the pun.
Oh.
Okay, so again, here the interviewee is talking about the director, Terry Fishner, and they've breathed new life into this old corpse. So we've got this phrase to breathe new life into something. That means you have a new perspective. You're trying something new. You're trying something that hasn't been done before. So it's refreshing, it's new, it's novel, it's interesting, it's unique. So to breathe new life into something, in this particular case, we're talking about an old corpse, which could refer to an old body, which is basically what a vampire is. It's a dead person. It's like a zombie. And he says, of course, it's a pun. He's making a joke here because an old corpse could mean something old and dead, like the old genre of horror films, and also into the old dead body of a vampire.
I wanted to mention this verb reprise just means to repeat something. If you're a musician, you know this because there are often reprises or reprise. We'll often say it that way as well in music where a part or a section is repeated. Now, to the next one. Tom, you want to ask me the question?
Okay. When will Dracula's Revenge be in movie theaters?
The global release date is May 27th. Some of the big blockbuster films with large budgets, big movies that studios know will be successful all over the world, they usually have the same release date in every country they open in. But not always. Sometimes I have to look and see when the film's coming to Taiwan. We don't always have the same release dates. But for the big stuff, yes, we do.
The release date, yes. When it's shown for the first time in movie theaters worldwide. Now, here's a discussion question.
Okay.
Do you enjoy horror movies? Give reasons for your answer.
We kind of talked about this at the beginning of the lesson today. I like to be held in suspense. I like to be sitting on the edge of my seat, wondering what's going to happen next. But I don't like to see a lot of blood, and I don't like to see people killed in really like gruesome, horrible ways that make me have nightmares.
Well, yes, me too. I don't really like horror movies myself because I think they're based on fiction. They're not really monsters or things like that. But sometimes a director will do a good job, like The Conjuring, which came out a couple of years ago.
I heard it was really scary.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. It was like it was about a haunted house or something like that.
I like that actor in that movie.
And I believe a sequel to that movie came out a few years later, okay? So yes, indeed, I like them if they're done well. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to continue talking about horror films in our next program, so please join us then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.